Police are still on the scene of an office shooting that happened yesterday in Middleton. We will have updates on the multiple investigations happening this morning.
And Madison officers say a teenager is behind another shooting yesterday, this one on a city bus.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 This Morning. It's Thursday, September 20th. I know lots of folks are waking up thinking about that Middleton shooting, maybe looking for an update this morning. We're going to have a live report on that coming up in our next few minutes.
Yeah, but before that, we want to talk about the alert day ahead and the forecast because we have storms moving through now. I know I was woken up by some of them.
A lot of lightning and thunder overnight and some very heavy rain across parts of southern Wisconsin. Well, full update on all the rain that has fallen coming up in Maine weather. But right now, you need to know that it is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. We have mainly rain across the area this morning, but later today into this evening, northwest of Madison, severe storms are possible. Here's what's happening this morning. Scattered showers and isolated thunderstorms across southern Wisconsin. The heaviest rain just south of Janesville in Rock County this morning. All this activity, though, is lifting to the north today, so we're actually going to dry out for a good chunk of the day and really heat up. That heat and humidity will lead to the potential for severe weather, and it is an enhanced risk for severe thunderstorm activity across much of west central Wisconsin later today. Temperatures will climb into the mid-80s here in Madison. It is going to be very humid. Definitely not feeling like September today, but just wait 24 hours. It'll be much cooler tomorrow. Your first alert traffic update this morning will show you what's happening on the roads. No major delays right now, maybe some slowdowns on Verona Road, but no accidents to report yet. Your first alert traffic shows you're traveling at posted speeds heading into Madison.
All right. Thanks, Addie.
You're welcome.
So there are still multiple people in serious or critical condition following yesterday's shooting in Middleton.
Some people won't be able to get to work today, where federal and local investigators continue working in that industrial park. Our Christina Laurie is live on Deming Way, where there's still a significant police presence this morning. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Leah and Danica. As you can see, police tape remains up. This road remains closed here at the WTS Paradigm building, the site of the primary investigation into the yesterday's shooting. Here's what we know so far about that shooting, which happened just after 10:30 a.m. Middleton Police Chief Charles Falk says the suspect, an employee, was heavily armed with a semi-automatic handgun and lots of extra ammunition. He shot and injured 3 people and a bullet grazed a 4th. 2 of those people are in the hospital this morning with serious injuries. 1 is in the hospital in critical condition. Right now, police don't know if the victims were targeted. The suspect, however, is dead. Law enforcement isn't releasing his name right now. That will be up to the discretion of the medical examiner. He was an employee at Paradigm and isn't believed to have a criminal background. This building here will remain closed, though, for quite some time. We will get updates on the latest on this ongoing investigation from the Middleton Police Chief at 7 o'clock this morning. We'll stream that live on Facebook.
Looking forward to that. And of course, we'll have updates from that conversation over on channel3000.com. Christina Laurie reporting live from Middleton. Thank you, Christina.
Police will also bring in a tactical team to search a home on Madison's far west side. They say might be connected to that shooting. People living in that neighborhood near Watts Road and Quiet Pond Drive are back home this morning. They were forced to leave for hours last night while crews raided that house.
WTS Paradigm released a statement last night saying the entire team is shocked and heartbroken. This is the company where this shooting happened. The company added, in a situation like this, you learn how great a community really is. That company also thanked Middleton Police, the Dane County Sheriff's Office, and all of the other emergency personnel for their amazing response.
Madison police are still looking for the teenager accused in another shooting yesterday, this one on a city bus. It happened just before 4 p.m. on a Metro bus at the corner of Flom Road and Monona Drive. Police say the 17-year-old victim was shot in the leg, but he is expected to be okay. The suspect is a 16-year-old boy. He ran off the bus and is still missing this morning. Several schools in the Monona area were on lockdown after that incident.
A Stoughton man is expected to recover after he was stabbed multiple times yesterday evening. Officers were called to the 500 block of East Street in Stoughton just after 5 p.m. where they found a 43-year-old man with multiple stab wounds. He was taken to a Madison hospital where he is listed in stable condition this morning. Police say 35-year-old Jeffrey O'Neill ran from that scene. He was tracked down and arrested about a mile away on South 4th Street. He is in the Dane County Jail this morning on tentative charges of recklessly endangering safety.
Wisconsin's Attorney General says he needs $1.5 million more to make sure rape kits are getting tested. Brad Schimmel is asking for an extra $1.6 million to pay for 14 full-time positions for his office. Those include forensic specialists, crime scene responders, and a digital forensics unit. Schimmel's office was criticized for letting 4,000 rape kits sit on shelves for decades. Just last week, Schimmel announced a new process to make sure kits don't go untested again. All right, 6:05 your time now. New research is showing the positive effects that psychedelic drugs could have on treating PTSD. Our medical expert, Dr. Mandir Mira, is talking about how that works and what it means for veterans struggling with those issues. That's coming up.
Patty has been inside all morning because of all of the lightning outside. Maybe you had some rumbles of thunder as your alarm clock this morning. You can see it a little foggy out there near the Capitol. It is an alert day, and we'll have that coming up next on News 3 this morning.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. Today is an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Here's that severe weather outlook that we've been talking about all morning. Slight risk for severe weather in and around the Dells. Further to the north and west, it's an enhanced risk for severe weather. Damaging winds, heavy rain, large hail, and isolated tornadoes all on the table later today with that risk for severe weather, especially north and west of the Dells. Here's a look at flood bulletins that are still in effect. We've had some pretty heavy rain across parts of southern Wisconsin overnight. A flash flood watch continues for Crawford and Grant counties until 1 o'clock this afternoon. We also have various river flood warnings in effect for southwestern Wisconsin. This is why 24-hour precipitation estimate south of Madison. Here's Madison. There's a band from Monroe all the way over to Prairie du Chien. 3 to 5 inches of rain is estimated to have fallen in the last 24 hours. Amounts were significantly lighter to the north and west. Now, this morning, we still have some rain ongoing across the area. Roads will be wet as you head to work and school this morning. Some thunderstorms still in and around Beloit early today. All this activity, though, is eventually going to lift to the north as a warm front pushes through the area. The front extends across the central part of the country through Iowa into Illinois this morning. A little bit of fog has been present in some spots. Not terrible right now in Madison, but visibility probably down in Janesville due to fog, as well as a little bit of heavy rain there. 1.5 mile visibility, but otherwise fog is not a widespread issue this morning. Temperatures are in the 60s. It's a pretty mild start to the day. We have 63 in Watertown, 66 right now in Janesville, 65 in Platteville. Take a look at the dew point numbers, though. This is probably not what you want to see. Dew points in the 70s is very uncomfortable. That is tremendously humid. It's going to feel pretty sticky this afternoon. We are going to heat up as well. As this rain lifts to the north, watch on future track through the morning hours. Eventually, we start to dry out here across southern Wisconsin. This afternoon, we should break into some sunshine, especially from Madison and points to the south, and that's where it's really going to heat up rather quickly. Strong south winds and highs well into the 80s. Staying mainly dry for most of the area through the evening hours, but as a cold front works its way back into the region, that'll bring the potential for severe weather to our north and west. Moving through the Madison area overnight, that's not a good time for severe weather, so that severe weather threat really diminishes during the overnight hours. Things are going to be very different tomorrow. We'll keep clouds in place with much cooler conditions. Now, precipitation totals today, highest amounts, of course, to the north and west, where we could see up to 1 inch of additional rain. Here's a look at your extended forecast then. Temperatures are going to definitely cool down behind this system. 84 today, only 66 for a high on Friday. Sunshine is back in the forecast, though, for the weekend. It'll be very comfortable as well. Now, let's get a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning with Josh Tim. Good morning, Josh.
Yeah, some wet roads here in the Madison area. Just give yourself a few minutes extra this morning. Things may be a little slow as it gets busier. So far, though, no major delays showing up on the Beltline. Things are moving well in both directions with no issues. Other routes here in Dane County not looking too bad. Just a few of the usual brake lights on Verona Road and Stoughton Road near the Beltline ramps. No problems at all downtown around the Capitol and UW campus. Volume shouldn't be a factor, at least for another hour or so. And other main routes heading into the city, they're cruising along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
All right, thanks Josh, thanks Hattie. 6:12 your time now on this Thursday morning. The FDA is looking into an interesting new treatment option for veterans who are suffering from PTSD.
Yeah, doctors say the main ingredient in ecstasy, along with psychotherapy, could help people work through some of that trauma. Dr. Mandira Mehra from SSM Health, our medical expert, joins us now to talk more about this option. And I think the first thing, Dr. Mehra, to make very clear is this is not doctors administering ecstasy to these veterans. It is different than that. Can you clarify a little bit?
Correct. It's definitely not a title that we hear every day, and it definitely is not meant to encourage veterans or anybody out there with any psychological issues, whether that's PTSD or anything else, to go out there and do ecstasy. That being said, the common ingredient or the main ingredient in ecstasy is this MDMA component. And without getting too scientific about it, the PTSD can have a variety of symptoms. And as we know, we read about veterans committing suicide, having fear, having other kind of depressed issues. It's a whole syndrome, really. And so many of the common therapies, Paxil, Zoloft, other antidepressants, work in about maybe 1/3 of those veterans, but then you have 2/3 that really don't have great therapy options. So here's a unique, still being studied FDA option where the MDMA would actually work on a part of the brain called the amygdala. And this may be our fear center. So you think about perhaps being attacked by a wolf, functional MRIs show that part of your brain would suddenly fire or trigger something. So imagine kind of chronically having this feeling, just you know, as a war veteran, having seen things, perhaps gone through trauma yourself. So now multiple therapies with the MDMA, plus of course the psychotherapy, have shown some progress. A number of veterans have said that they felt better than they ever felt, and perhaps there's some promise and some hope here.
And so to make it clear too, I think a lot of people associate ecstasy with, you know, hallucinations and things like that.
Yeah.
What is this component, the MDMA, and is it connected to that in any way?
Some of them, but not necessarily the, you know, that we think of the high components of it. Perhaps some of the euphoria, those kinds of things. But again, this has to be very FDA studied, and we need larger studies. But what it is showing is that that amygdala, that fear component, is decreased. And the hope, of course, is to make people more functional and decrease suicide rates.
And be able to talk about this a little bit more.
Yeah.
All right, we're talking also about another study about drinking that says middle-aged drinkers care more about their reputations than they care about the health risks.
Right. And so this is so interesting. You know, if I asked all of our viewers out there today, what is it that you care about? Is it that Dr. Vera talks about liver cancer and other types of cancers, high blood pressure? Is that what's going to stop you from drinking today? Or is it the fact that perhaps you care about your behavior today out at happy hour? And I would venture to say, if we support the study, that perhaps 8 out of 10 or 7 out of 10 adults in this age range would say they care more about their behavior rather than the health effects. So when they feel that they're acting in disproportion to their peers or their family members, that's what people actually care about, not necessarily what we doctors always preach about the health benefits of not drinking or drinking in moderate amounts, not the fact that it could lead to hypertension, cardiovascular disease, different types of cancers. So very interesting, because you think, well, don't we make most of our decisions based off health benefits? Actually, we care more about what we and what society thinks of us. And so it was also interesting that it pointed out how much our friends and family drink also gauged what we thought was normal. So perhaps if you and your friends or family drink a lot and you're kind of surrounded by that, you may not think that your a lot is really a lot. It's all kind of relative, like we always say. So really gauging honestly with yourself, with your doctor, kind of talking and saying, well, what's normal? How much should I be drinking? Is a beer during the football game okay? Or perhaps 10 is not. So probably something we can all relate to on some level, but behavior is important, but so is health.
Very interesting study there. Well, thanks so much for waking up with us early.
Yeah, great to be here.
Always good to see you. 6:16 right now, and as Sauk County leaders look into changing up the rules for ATVs there's a push to make sure those changes aren't putting more lives at risk. We will tell you more about those safety concerns and the numbers that back them up.
Probably not a safe morning to go off-roading today. Hattie's talking about patchy fog, storms before things clear up for the weekend, and then the rain comes back again. She has an update after the break. News 3 This Morning. We'll be right back.
Good morning, I'm meteorologist Hattie McLean. We have some rain across southern Wisconsin this morning, but it's really later on today that we're concerned for the potential for severe weather. For that reason, it's an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Severe storms are possible later this afternoon into this evening, mainly northwest of Madison. The storms will move into the Madison area overnight, limiting our risk for severe weather here. Our Doppler track is showing you what's happening right now, and it's still pretty wet, especially south and east of Madison. Things starting to break up a little bit west of Dane County at this hour. All the rain is lifting off to the north and east this morning and will continue to do so. So we'll dry out as we head towards the middle of the day. Here's a look at our current temperatures. We're starting in the 60s this morning. It's going to be another very warm and humid day, especially this afternoon with some sunshine and a strong southerly wind. Temperatures will climb well into the 80s with high humidity. Rain chances again that return tonight. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you so much, Hattie. 6:21 right now. Some Madison music fans are expecting a refund after the concert they had tickets to for last night was canceled at Breese-Stevens Field. Now, Counting Crows tweeted that it was due to the weather, unforeseen circumstances, and safety that the show in Madison had to be canceled. The band added in that tweet that refunds will be given at point of purchase. Even with the shooting on a Madison Metro bus yesterday and the shooting situation earlier on in Middleton, Frank Production says the show was canceled for weather, and police say they did not order that cancellation for any safety reason.
More than 12,000 people living in Dane County spend half of their income on their rent or their mortgage. More than 2,000 of those people are seniors. Those kinds of statistics have the county board talking about the housing gap later today. That's the difference between what someone can afford to spend on a house or an apartment and the number of units available at that price point. Supervisors are going to watch this 7-minute video before talking about that gap, who it affects, and what they can do to address it. You can watch this video for yourself. It's over on the Dane County Housing Initiative's website. Organizers from across the country don't want Sauk County to let more four-wheelers out on the roads. The State Journal reports 10 different consumer health and safety groups wrote a letter to board members. They point to data that shows 67% of the state's ATV deaths from 2013 up until last month happened on roads. Local ATV clubs say it's too difficult to create trails, and street access would help boost tourism. The county's highway committee says a new ordinance would address some of the safety concerns found in that letter. It will go to a vote next month.
Madison's sewage department has some reminders for people living in the city when it comes to pollution. They recommend keeping harsh chemicals out of water, using the trash can rather than the toilet to dispose of certain items, and checking to make sure your water softener is working efficiently. Sewage workers say that it's easier and more cost-effective to prevent pollution rather than have to remove it from water systems later on. The department is hosting a free hard hat tour tomorrow from 2 to 4 to show people how it recycles resources and keeps water clean.
Sun Prairie is helping some of its downtown businesses recover after this summer's explosion with an event happening later today. The Sun Prairie Business Improvement District is holding its second annual Oktoberfest celebration that runs from 5 until 7 tonight. For $30, you can visit 20 downtown businesses and get samples of their fall beers, ales, and ciders. Of course, it wouldn't be an Oktoberfest celebration without some polka bands, too. If you're interested, you'll have to check in at the Bank of Sun Prairie's downtown location to prove you're 21. There's a lower $10 admission for those serving as designated drivers. All right, 6:24 your time now. Within the last 10 minutes, we're learning one of the victims of yesterday's shooting in Middleton is now in stable condition. There are still 3 victims suffering from severe injuries. We're going to have a live update after the break.
And there will likely soon be a panel of experts looking into ways to prevent another major flooding event here in Dane County. We'll have the day's top stories when News 3 This Morning returns.
We have an update on the conditions of 3 people still in the hospital after someone opened fire in a Middleton office building.
And the investigation into that building continues this morning as police work to identify more information about the shooter.
This is News 3 This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 this morning. It's 6:28 now on this Thursday, September 20th. And we do have an update in that Middleton shooting story, updates on how the patients still in the hospital are doing this morning. We'll get to Christina with that in just a bit. But the other top news of the day is an alert day with some storms in the forecast.
Yeah, absolutely.
We do. We've had some storms overnight. Maybe you were up a little earlier than you would have liked overnight with the lightning and thunder in the area. Today is an alert day with the potential for severe storms later this afternoon and this evening, mainly northwest of Madison from the Dells points to the north and west. Here's a look at what's happening this morning. Still some showers and isolated thunderstorms moving through the area, getting a little bit more scattered in southwestern Wisconsin at this hour. All the rain, though, will lift north out of the area this morning, so we'll have a significant chunk of dry weather today. Take a look at dew points, though. Wanted to let you know that it is going to turn very warm and humid today. Dew points just the south are in the mid and upper 60s and then even 70s as you get into central Illinois. Strong southerly winds will kick in today, and it is going to heat up around here. We're looking at highs in the mid 80s with heat index values even higher thanks to those high dew points. Here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. Roads here in Madison are wet. We are starting to see some delays on the Beltline right around Stoughton Road. Otherwise, no other major accidents to report. Is a little slower northbound on Verona Road as you approach the Beltline. And that's your first alert traffic.
Ugh, another muggy day, some more storms. I'm ready for fall.
Just one more day. Fall returns tomorrow.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
6:29 right now, and we are hoping to learn more from Middleton's police chief later this morning as his officers still have roads and businesses blocked off around the scene of yesterday's shooting.
Federal investigators are helping to figure out why an employee at a software company opened fire on his coworkers. Our Christina Laurie has new information about the victims of that shooting. She joins us live from Deming Way. Good morning, Christina.
Leah and Danica, we are just getting an update from UW Health this morning that the person who was in critical condition after yesterday's shooting here at the WTS Paradigm building is now stable. 2 other people still remain in the hospital this morning, though, as well. They are in serious condition as police continue to investigate what happened here. Here's what we know so far about that shooting, though, which happened just before 10:30 a.m. Middleton Police Chief Charles Falk says the suspect, an employee, was heavily armed with a semi-automatic handgun and lots of extra ammunition. He shot and injured 3 people, and a bullet grazed a 4th. Again, one of those people is now been upgraded from critical condition to stable. 2 of those people are still in the hospital with serious injuries, though. Right now, police don't know if the victims were targeted. The suspect, however, is dead. Law enforcement isn't releasing his name right now. That will be up to the discretion of the medical examiner. He was an employee at Paradigm and isn't believed to have a criminal background. And a heads up if you drive in the area of Deming Way. This road will remain closed until further notice from University Avenue to the roundabout at John Q. Hammond's Drive. Police say there will be some access to local businesses, but some workers might not be allowed into the building this morning where the investigation is taking place. We will get updates all day long on this story, but at 7 o'clock this morning, we are talking live with the Middleton Police Chief. We will stream that on Facebook, so please turn to channel3000.com or Facebook to see that conversation.
Hoping to learn more on a possible motive, maybe what kind of evidence they're finding so far. All right, our Christina Laurie reporting live. Thanks, Christina. Police will bring in a tactical team to search a home on Madison's far west side they say might be connected to that shooting. People living in that neighborhood near Watts Road and Quiet Pond Drive are back home this morning. They were forced to leave for hours last night while crews raided that house.
Like Christina mentioned, we are getting an update from Middleton's police chief within the next half hour or so. We will try to stream that for you on our Facebook page and update you with the latest details about the suspect, the victim's conditions, and the investigation. Again, just getting an update on those victims' conditions this morning. That one person is now stable, 2 people in serious condition. That will all be on News 3 today and over on channel3000.com.
Time now is 6:32. UW police say State Street is safe this morning after they sent out an alert for a man with a gun around 1:30. Officers say he was reported around the 600 block of State Street. That's the end closest to campus. No one was hurt and no shots were actually fired.
Middle schoolers in Janesville will be back in class today after police looked into a threat at their school yesterday. The Janesville Gazette reports detectives determined the threat was not credible. There was a large police presence, though, at Marshall Middle School yesterday. In a letter to parents, the principal told them that the extra officers were simply a precautionary measure after everything was already determined to be safe. Police are still working to find the person who sent out that fake threat.
A Beloit man who claimed to be a sex researcher could spend the next 25 years in prison for luring a teenage boy into sex acts. Justin German pleaded guilty to child enticement causing mental harm in Rock County Court yesterday. That's part of a plea agreement where 7 other offenses against German were dismissed. Officials say he gave the boy money in exchange for repeated sexual acts in a parked car last summer. He has a sentencing hearing scheduled for the end of November.
With more rain in the forecast, we are continuing to watch water levels across southern Wisconsin, including right here in Dane County, where later today the Board of Supervisors will consider the effects of permanently reducing levels on Lake Mendota. Reducing the current minimum depth for the lake would require DNR approval, and that wouldn't happen until next spring at the earliest. There is a resolution, however, on the table tonight to create an advisory committee of experts to look at all of the options to prevent future flooding starting this fall. That group would need to make a recommendation by the end of March. The board's chair says that it could take months for Mendota to get back down to normal levels.
Meanwhile, with more rain overnight and storms today, city leaders are keeping an eye on the Tenney Park area over on the Near East Side. That place was hit particularly hard during the last round of flooding. Some bike paths there were submerged, and part of East Johnson had to be shut down completely. There's at least one area of public housing in that area, too. City staff have been out overnight monitoring road conditions there. The mayor's office is telling people not to remove their sandbags quite yet.
A Middleton brewery and a sports apparel store are teaming up tonight to help raise money for the Pheasant Branch Conservancy. That popular nature area saw $2.5 million worth of damage in the recent flooding. Tonight, Capitol Brewery and Fleet Feet are turning their Thursday night pub run into a fundraiser for the Conservancy. $1 of every drink purchased and all the proceeds from T-shirt sales will go toward rebuilding efforts. That starts at 6 o'clock tonight. All right, 6:35 right now. The search continues for a teenager who allegedly shot someone on a city bus. We will have more coming up in the morning sprint.
And one of the leading mental health care providers is working with one of the leading nonprofit organizations here in Madison to help kids work through trauma. The news is back in the morning on News 3 this morning.
Welcome back. We always ask you to share your morning with us, and with things being so gloomy out there today, Seth Tully shared this beautiful shot from Boston. Just gorgeous, the stacked up rocks there. Beautiful sunrise. We appreciate him sharing that. Thank you so much, Seth.
Looks like our weekend forecast might be a great time to go out and catch some of that sun. Thanks again for sharing, Seth. What does your morning look like? Take a picture, post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter, and use that hashtag MyNews3Morning. We always share our favorites right here on the program. We want to take a minute to thank everyone who's checked their closets for old winter jackets to donate. And for those who haven't, you still have time to join our Coats for Kids campaign. We're up to 1,244 coats so far. You can take your old coats, hats, or mittens to any Clinky Cleaners location to be cleaned free of charge. You have until October 6th to donate.
The United Way of Dane County is taking time to talk this morning about the impact of trauma on students. Journey Mental Health has been working with schools to launch an intervention program aimed specifically at kids and teens struggling with PTSD and depression. Now, national statistics show a quarter of kids will experience a traumatic event by the time they turn 16. There's a talk this morning at the Goodman Community Center covering those new efforts to make sure students have the help they need to learn and live to their full potential. Madison's deputy mayor, a former police captain, and a psychologist are among the panelists. That event starts at 8:30.
All right, 6:39 your time now. The lightning has been pretty intense at certain times this morning. I know it was lighting up the sky as I was coming into work. Danica was woken up by some thunder. Hattie has an alert day with a chance for severe storms in the area today. Then she's got a 20-degree drop in temperatures for us. That's coming up after the break.
But first, let's say happy birthday to Ashton, Brecken, Jace, Maddox, Piper, and Dawson. A lot of kiddos turning 3 today. Thank you so much for letting us help celebrate here on News 3 this morning.
Welcome back. You're taking a live look outside right now at Platteville, down in my neck of the woods, southwest Wisconsin. That is where Hattie says we're going to see most of the rain today, upwards of 7 inches. We're going to check in with her coming up in a couple of minutes.
Yeah, those 7 inches falling, pardon me, within the last 48 hours. So that is the forecast right now. We will check in with Hattie to make sure those numbers are good to go still. So we are well into the season of political advertisements telling us to vote one way or another. But Dane County's clerk wants to make sure people at least have what they need to cast a ballot. The Board of Supervisors will consider reallocating $15,000 toward voter education heading into November's elections. A UW-Madison study showed nearly 17,000 voters in Dane and Milwaukee counties did not cast ballots in the 2016 presidential election because of the state's photo ID requirement. So these outreach efforts would be focused on low-income voters who may have been affected by that law.
All right, over to Hattie now with a look at another alert day. Good morning, Hattie.
Good morning. Yes, one more alert day in the forecast. It's for the potential for severe weather later on. This morning, we're still dealing with some few thunderstorms in the area. Locally heavy rain is possible. We did have some very heavy rain across parts of southern Wisconsin overnight. 3 to 5 inches has fallen there. A big break, though, through the day, through the midday hours with dry weather. And then later on this afternoon into this evening, scattered thunderstorms return as a cold front begins to move through the area. Now, north and west of the Dells, that's the main focus for severe weather. We could have some strong wind gusts, large hail, as well as some isolated tornadoes. Here's a look at the flood bulletins that are still in effect. Again, the heavy rain overnight prompting a flash flood watch for Crawford and Grant counties. That goes until 1 o'clock this afternoon. Also have some river flood warnings in effect. Now, Doppler track is showing you what's happening right now. The rain turning a bit more scattered across the region and generally lifting to the north and northeast. Here's a look. The back edge of that rain working its way through northern Iowa into southern Wisconsin as we speak. Will continue to move out of the area today as a warm front lifts into the region. That front will take the rain into northern Wisconsin and will dry out here for a time in the southern part of the state. It is going to turn very warm and humid with strong southerly winds. Now, as this cold front begins to work its way through the region, some strong to severe thunderstorms will be possible, again, mainly north and west through the evening hours. That risk for severe weather diminishes overnight as that front moves through south central Wisconsin. High pressure and cool weather conditions then settling in as we head towards the upcoming weekend. We'll clear things out with lots of sunshine, but much more comfortable temperatures. Lots of low clouds here in Madison. This is the WISC-TV sky cam showing you not necessarily fog on the ground, but those clouds are very low. That camera is about a couple hundred feet up on the tower. There is some fog and reduced visibility due to heavy rain in Janesville right now. Otherwise, fog does not seem to be a widespread issue. Temperatures this morning are in the 60s. It is going to heat up around here, though. We have light winds this morning all over the place, but generally from a northeasterly direction. As that front lifts to the north, southerly winds kick in and really increase in wind speed. It's going to be quite breezy through the afternoon. Those south winds heating us up and turning us more humid. For tomorrow, it's a strong westerly wind that will cool things down. But again, take a look at the wind gust potential. We could see gusts in the 30 to 35 mile-an-hour range late tonight into early on Friday as that front moves through the region. Here's a look at your forecast then. We have high temperatures that will be in the 80s today. Pinpoint City forecast highs around 83 in New Glarus and Middleton with partly sunny skies. To the west, 82 in Muscoda as well as Mineral Point. To the north, that's where we could see some rain, especially to the north and west, parts of Adams and Juneau County with temperatures in the 70s. Here's a look at your extended forecast. One more warm and humid day today with highs in the mid-80s. Then it turns much more comfortable tomorrow, 66. That's going to feel a little cool after today. A nice weekend coming up with sunshine and comfortable temperatures.
No.
Here's a look at our pet walk. This is Ollie and Madison. Look at those ears.
Look at that tongue.
Very cute.
All right, some pet walk weather coming this weekend.
That's right.
Thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
The morning sprint is coming up next right here on News 3 This Morning. It is 6:51, time now for the morning sprint. Hattie has an alert day for chances of severe storms.
But we start this morning with Christina Lowry, live in Middleton with the latest on yesterday's shooting and the victims recovering. Good morning, Christina.
Good morning, Leah and Danica. We are just getting an update from UW Health this morning that one of the people shot yesterday here at the WTS Paradigm building who was in critical condition is now stable. 2 other people still remain in the hospital in serious condition, however. Here's what we know so far about that shooting. Middleton Police Chief Charles Falk says the suspect, an employee, was heavily armed with a semi-automatic handgun and lots of extra ammunition. He was shot and injured 3 people. Right now, police don't know if the victims were targeted. The suspect, however, is dead. Law enforcement isn't releasing his name right now. That will be up to the discretion of the medical examiner. He was an employee at Paradigm and isn't believed to have a criminal background.
Thanks, Christina. Police will be back at a second scene to investigate that shooting inside a house on Madison's far west side. People living in the neighborhood near Watts Road and Quiet Pond Drive are back home this morning. They were forced to leave for hours last night while crews raided that house. A tactical team will be back on site sometime this morning.
Madison police are still looking for the teenager accused in another shooting yesterday, this one on a city bus. That happened on the far east side. Police say the 17-year-old victim was shot in the leg. He is expected to be okay. The suspect is a 16-year-old boy who police believe the victim went to school with or goes to school with. Several schools in the Monona area were on lockdown throughout this incident.
A Stoughton man is expected to recover after he was stabbed a number of times yesterday evening on East Street inside that city. The 43-year-old is in the hospital in stable condition this morning. Police say 35-year-old Jeffrey O'Neill is in the Dane County Jail. He's facing charges of recklessly endangering safety.
An Adams County clerk is out of her position this morning after resigning over a massive data breach she's accused of causing. Cindy Filippi signed off on her resignation Tuesday before the board was scheduled to meet to discuss whether or not to fire her. She's accused of being responsible for that data breach that affected the information of more than 250,000 people. Filippi's letter to board members says she is currently on a leave of absence until her resignation is officially effective December 31st.
And we're watching the weather today. It's an alert day for southern Wisconsin. Rain moving through this morning, but no severe weather expected now. It's later on from the Dells and points to the north and west that we could see some damaging winds as well as large hail. Now, here's a look at what's happening early this morning. We do have some showers and isolated thunderstorms moving through the area, lifting to the northeast. Most of the day will be dry today. It is going to turn warm and humid. Temperatures will climb into the mid-80s with a strong southerly wind. And that's your first alert forecast.
Hattie, thank you. With more rain in the forecast, Dane County supervisors will consider permanently reducing levels on Lake Mendota today. That would have to be approved by the DNR, which wouldn't happen until next spring at the earliest. Tonight, the board will vote to create an advisory committee of experts who would look at all of the options to prevent future flooding issues. That group would make its recommendations by the end of March.
President Trump is on Twitter this morning, tweeting about everything from border security to the economy and more. He's headed to Las Vegas today for a campaign-style rally. He's just back from a trip to North and South Carolina, where yesterday he promised to help communities rebuild after Hurricane Florence. At least 36 people are dead as a result of that storm. 7,800 people are still in shelters this week.
Professors from the UW-Madison School of Public Affairs will talk about health care issues and encourage voters to head to the polls later today. That discussion starts at 6 o'clock at Alumni Park next to the Memorial Union. According to the most recent NBC News and Wall Street Journal poll, health care is the #1 issue for potential voters come November.
More than 12,000 people living in Dane County spend half of their income on their rent or their mortgage. More than 2,000 of those people are seniors. Those kinds of numbers have the county board talking about the housing gap later today. That's the difference between what someone can afford to spend on a house or an apartment and the number of units available at that price point.
Organizations from across the country are urging Sauk County leaders to not allow more four-wheelers out on the roads. The State Journal reports 10 different consumer health and safety groups wrote a letter to board members there. They point to data that shows 67% of the state's ATV deaths from 2013 until last month happened out on roads and not on trails. The county's highway committee says a new ordinance would address some of the safety concerns in that letter, but they are looking at significant rule changes right now. This would all go to a vote next month.
After 2 years of talks, the building that houses the Madison College downtown campus is about to become an 8-story hotel. The Plan Commission voted unanimously to support that proposal. It comes with a new parking garage with first-floor commercial space along with hotel rooms. That project is expected to get final approval in the next 2 weeks.
6:56 right now with all of the heavy rain out there. We want to turn it over one more time to Josh Tim with a look at your first alert traffic. Good morning, Josh.
Morning, guys. Well, the westbound side of the Beltline continuing to get busier, but the rain's really not affecting it at this point. There are some brake lights showing up between Stoughton Road and West Broadway, but really nothing that'll slow you down more than a minute or two. Inbound John Nolan, you're picking up near the Rimrock and Olin Avenue intersections heading into the downtown area. That's going to add a couple minutes. Other main routes leading into the city, including on the interstate, they're cruising along at the usual speeds with no crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thanks, Josh. Stay dry.
And it is a cloudy start this morning with scattered showers across southern Wisconsin. Those showers will lift northward. Most of the day will be dry. We'll actually see some sunshine this afternoon. It'll be very warm and humid with high temperatures in the middle 80s.
All right.
Storms return tonight, though.
Thanks, Hattie. We'll keep an eye on that radar for you. Try and stay dry today. See you tomorrow.